Until now, we have talked about design and composition in terms of what is the first step you want to do when it's time to design. And what I recommended was to think of focus. What is the element that is the primary element in your composition? And what is the secondary and the tertiary? But really, focus is what you want to do. First and foremost, frame the primary element, decide. In fact, write it on paper. When I start designing and I know what is going to go in my composition, I have a few elements that I know have to be there to convey the message. I oftentimes try to sketch out, different options, even just by writing words on paper of what I want to be the primary and secondary and tertiary. And generally those words lead me to do quick, very quick concept sketches, quick sketch that says, okay, if I make that the primary and I know how the image is going to be of that element, that's how I would, be on a sketch. So I start sketching. So focus, really important. What is the focus, the primary element? Another thing very important is the idea that we have right after we decide what are the focus, we need to decide, how do we drive the attention of the viewer? So, for example, sometimes focus can be generated by scale. So if you make an element much larger, that becomes kind of the prima donna in the composition. But then if that element is so big, what do I do with the rest of the space? What if I use lines, alignment to create to put together the rest to create the rest of the composition? And if I use line and alignments, what is important that you think about is the flow of the attention of the viewer. So let's say if your composition had a beautiful whale, and that is a big element in your composition, the viewer will start from the whale. Where does it go next? The whale, for example, is vertical, and so it follows the whales to the top of the ocean, and then there's a secondary element there. And maybe that secondary element is a little boat that is fishing, and there is a fishing line that goes back down to a piece of text. So all of a sudden, my eye creates this loop to basically view every element of your composition. So think about all this. When it's time to design, think about the elements that will go in your design, and then start writing down in words and in quick sketches which element will be there. And if you want it to be the prima donna, the primary element, can you do that with scale? Can you do that with color and contrast? How can you achieve that? And once you decide how to make that primary element truly the focus, then how does the secondary and tertiary element comes around at that focus, and the eye of the viewer moves through those elements with ease without ever feeling like there's a big jump or a big disconnect? That's kind of the beginning, and then there's a lot more. So let's dive in.